This is David Icke here, pictured with TV celebrity Russell Brand. And Russell Brand calls himself Russell Brand X. So in other words, as in mark. You know, brand is a mark, isn't it? Yeah. So he's used that after his name, which is Brand X. Brand X. Now, X is a universal mark. It is a number. It's a number 10. It's a Roman numeral for the number 10. Modern terms, that is like that. Yeah. 10 EO. It's a word as well. So it's a marker, number, and a name. So he's got that after his name. And there is David Icke pictured with Russell Brand X, you know, X, the mark of one of the marks of the beast, APOLLYON, this is the Groucho Club, apparently, which is mainstream media celebrities only. You've got no chance of getting in there. You've got more chance of sneaking into Bohemian Grove. As long as you've got a special magic wig like Alex Jones has. When he flips it round the other way round, he becomes invisible and he can walk past all the guards and everything. Anyway, never mind that. There they are together, apparently in the Groucho Club, and Russell Brand X. Let's take a look at Russell Brand X and see what else we can find out about Russell Brand X, friend of David Icke there. So let's just open this picture here. And what we've got here is Russell Brand X with Her Majesty the Queen. There, see that? And look at that funny handshake there. Isn't that the same handshake that I collared David Icke with the Project Camelot team, which is Bill and Kerry, giving David Icke that same handshake? And didn't David Icke tell us that the Queen is a reptile who drinks blood? You know, she's a lizard, she drinks blood. And there's Russell Brand X giving that very strange handshake to Her Majesty the Queen. I've got nothing bad to say about Her Majesty the Queen, because the Bible says you must not speak bad of your rulers. So nothing to say about her. Russell Brand, however, obviously is meeting the Queen, who David Icke says is a blood-drinking lizard. So, if she's a blood-drinking lizard, let's just close that bit down. Why is David Icke sitting there in what seems to be the Groucho Club? This came off of this picture's from his own Twitter account. Someone sent this to me. Sitting there with this guy who has just shaken hands with the blood-drinking lizard queen of the world, Elizabeth. She may be. I've got nothing to say on that, okay? But why is he sitting there with him inside this mainstream media, what I call a cesspit, with his arm around him, all friendly? I just thought I'd put that out there for people to consider. Now, let's move on from there anyway, into something else which is very interesting, because, as you know, David Icke claimed that the moon is a giant spaceship full of aliens controlling us with mind rays, right? So I remember I made a video about this, mocking this. This is ridiculous, because the moon controls the tides. You have to remember that in the first place. So he says it's a giant spaceship full of aliens controlling us with mind rays. I ridicule him. His supporters come to my videos and make all sorts of foul, abusive comments and stuff. And I don't need to prove this. You can see all of that for yourself. It happens all the time. Anything you say about David, like, how dare you speak about David like this? Who the bloody hell do you think he is or something? You think he's God or something? Oh, hang on. He said he was Jesus as well, didn't he? But then he said that Jesus and Apollyon are the same person, so therefore he is Apollyon. He's got Apollyon within him. So it's not Jesus Christ. So maybe that's why he's sitting there with his arm around Russell Brand X, EO, son, who has just shook hands with what David says is the blood-drinking lizard queen of the world. This all just seems a little bit too stupid for words. But anyway, why'd they let him in now? Let's move on from now, because how is David Icke ever going to get out of claiming that the moon is a giant spaceship full of aliens? How is he going to get out of claiming that the White Cliffs of Dover would be underwater by 1991? How is he going to get out of claiming that the world ended in 1997. There's got to be a way out of it. But I'm sure David Icke will find the way out of it. But remember, if you took issue with any of that, you know as well as I do, that his supporters would have given you the rocket. How could you prove that the moon is not a giant spaceship, you closed-minded Christian imbecile? Okay, let's move on then, and let's have a look at this. This is David Icke on This Morning, dated 14th, 3rd, 13th, and this is on YouTube, public domain. Okay, so and this is fair comment. Okay, so I'm just going to show you what happens here in this little interview with David Icke. And remember, he's got to get out of saying all these things that he said. He's got to get out of all of them. Remember that. Watch this.
It is certainly one of those interviews that I have a feeling just sort of sitting here it's going to be quite challenging. You have to open your mind. You've done an enormous amount of research, and so let's see if we can scratch the surface on some of the ideas that you have.
Okay.
First of all, you say you're one of those people that always questioned the world. You questioned who we are and what we are. Right. What have you learned?
You know, people will remember me, those that are old enough, from about 25 years ago when I had my eureka moment.
Hold on a second. Now, remember, this guy's just been announced on this show, by the way, as it says here, look, David Icke described as the most controversial speaker in the world. By who? Who has described him? That just means that anyone, that David could have said that, anyone could have said that, and he's been described as. Well, I'm sure that you guys have been described as many different things, and I have been described as many different things. So that is utterly absurd. But because it's on the TV, remember, the TV is the Bible of the world. When the TV speaks, it is the truth. Yeah, sure it is. Okay, so he's described as the most controversial speaker in the world, and he's just telling us about his eureka moment, and then it gets, just watch and see.
And I was an ex-television presenter. I decided to get out of the business and follow my journey, where life was pushing me. Yeah, so he became a politician, and all politicians are Freemasons, and etc. Anyway, let's carry on. And what happened in that strange period in 1991? That's when the White Cliffs of Dover were allegedly flooded by the sea, and they're under the water now, and you can no longer see them. But actually, they're not, and you can see them. Was that, you know, when you press the keys on a computer too many, and it freezes because it says, I can't process this, and that's what happened to me. And that's when Time Warp stuck in. That's when media Time Warp locked in. It's official, Icke's a nutter, that's the end of it. I didn't say it.
Well, you did go on the Wogan show and say you didn't deny when he asked you if you were the son of God. You didn't deny.
Yeah, but that has to be put into context. What I was saying, and you've got to understand at that time that I was going through this amazing transformation of a...
So, okay, so it's got to be put into context. He was going through this amazing transformation. Let's carry on.
Awareness. It was like everything morphed back, and people were saying to me, I thought you'd gone mad, mate. You're the same David Icke I knew. And I was, in terms of the way they saw me. But I wasn't. Because now I'm seeing the world in a completely different way.
So he's now seeing it in a completely different way from how he was seeing it back then. But we also have to remember that his supporters were supporting him even then and after then, and being very aggressive in supporting him, to the point of where some of them made threats which were physical, etc. And again, I don't need to prove this, you can see this, and there's complaints on the internet about David Icke supporters and the way that they behave. And may I just point out that Credo Matwa is a shaman, and he's basically part of what that means is part of a brotherhood, which means that is Masonic, of course, who use aggressive tactics in order to get their own political will done. So let's just carry on.
Before, there were puzzle pieces all over the floor. Now suddenly I can see how they fit together, and I spent...
So basically what he's saying is that he didn't know what he was talking about, and he could see all these bits and pieces, and he was just making it up as he went along. But his supporters still supported him. But let's carry on.
The last 25 years putting them together.
So, what is your puzzle like? What does it look like?
The five senses decode. The ears are classic, but it's the same with all of them.
So keep an eye on his hands, please. Okay, keep an eye on his hands. I know people are going to say, look, you know, he's got arthritis. Yes, I know that. But I also shook hands with David Icke at the Bilderberg 2013, and his grip was nice and firm. So, you know, I can actually testify to that. He's got a nice, firm grip. And if you watch his hands, you'll see that he does actually make a lot of different shapes with his hands. Again, I don't need to prove that. You just need to watch it for yourself. And one of these, where the two fingers go together like that, that is the eagle claw hand sign of Hermes, the false prophet, who's the brother of Apollyon the Destroyer. Remember, David Icke said that he had the Christ spirit in him, and then he said that Christ and Apollyon are the same person. So therefore, if he believes that, then he believes that he has the spirit of Apollyon the Destroyer in him, and of course, making the hand sign of Hermes, who is the brother of Apollyon, would of course fit in with his beliefs, would it not? Let's carry on, but keep your eyes on his hands as well as listening to what he's saying.
They decode waveform information, energetic information. Think of it as the wireless internet. The five senses turn that information from waveform into electrical information, same information, different form, which is communicated to the brain. So, for instance, if I bang my shin, I don't say ouch until that message has got to the brain. And the brain takes that information from the five senses and it constructs reality. And therefore, we are living in an illusory reality in terms of solidity. That's why...
So hang on. So if you bang your shin, it takes time for the message to go from your shin to your brain. Therefore, we are living in an illusionary reality. Excuse me a moment. Let's carry on.
That table, which seems so solid, is made of atoms, and atoms have no solidity.
Atoms have no solidity, but the table is solid, and so is the one I just banged my head on. Let's carry on.
Someone rightly said, if you take an atom to be the size of a cathedral, the nucleus of the atom is about the size of a 10-cent piece. Everything else is empty space. How?
So, everything else of an atom is empty space, but he's basically saying, you know, the nucleus is tiny. So, what he's saying there is that the nucleus is solid, but he hasn't understood what he said, that the nucleus is solid, but the rest of it, which is outside, the outer part of the atom, is basically, it doesn't exist, I think. Let's carry on.
How can that make the solid world? It's not solid.
So basically, because the nucleus of, according to Icke, the nucleus of an atom is solid, though he skipped that bit. The outside is made of nothing, even though it's part of the atom, and so therefore, how can the table be solid? This is science at its finest here. Let's carry on.
But once you come
Yet if I pick it up and bash you on the head with it, it's going to hurt.
Yes, because that's the way we decode information.
Right, that's the way you decode information. So basically, that table isn't there, and if he picks it up and bashes him on the head with it, it's going to hurt him because that's the way that he perceives information, but actually it's not there.
I've been saying now for so many years in my books that this world is actually holographic.
Okay. This world is holographic, so it's not there. Even though there are atoms there with a nucleus and this outside, the outer part of them, which somehow is made of nothing, which makes solid objects which are not really solid, and if you bang your shin on them or bash your head on them, yes, it will hurt, but it will only hurt because that's how you perceive it, because it's not actually there. Let's carry on.
And a hologram is not solid, it's not physical, it's illusory.
So a hologram is not solid. Yeah, he's actually said something that's real. So on that part, I will agree with David Icke on that part.
And it's illusory, three-dimensional. Now, once you're dealing with something that's holographic, something that is a projection, you're no longer dealing with someone getting the metal and the stuff and all the rest of it and making a moon. Because it's a projection.
So we're now talking about the moon now, you notice, yeah? Because once you're dealing with a hologram, now that he's explained that the table is not solid and the pain is not real, but that's your perception, you can building the moon now is not really possible because it's a holographic illusion. So now he's slipping out of the moon being a giant spaceship full of aliens controlling us with minds. So now the aliens have now disappeared, of course, remember, because you can't make the moon because it is now a hologram, which means, of course, that David Icke is now saying that, you know, what I said was right. But that would also mean that I'm a hologram, so he can get past me as well now. Even though he shook my hand, he felt my hand, but I'm not there because it was a hologram, and so therefore it doesn't count. Let's keep going.
It's a holographic projection.
So the moon isn't real?
No, well, none of it's real.
So the moon is no longer real, so therefore, as you can see, it's not a spaceship. So what you said before about it being a spaceship, it's now not a spaceship because it's not real. Let's keep going. I don't know why, but let's keep going.
Because it's all a projection. But
is the universe a projection?
Yes, it is, and that's...
The universe is now a projection. So the moon is no longer a giant spaceship full of aliens controlling us with mind rays. The universe is a projection. So somewhere there is a projector projecting everything, including me, including you. You're not really there, you see. You're imagining that you're there. Oh, okay, let's just carry on anyway.
It's what these scientific teams in Bonn and America have come to the conclusion.
So who's projecting the projection?
Well, I mean, you can keep going on and keep going on, and that's why I keep going on.
So you can keep going on and you can keep going on, and that is why he keeps going on. And do you know what? Shall I carry on? Oh, okay, let's carry on.
These are the questions we need to understand. But once you're dealing with something that's not physical, limitation disappears.
Just a moment. When you're dealing with something that's not physical, limitation disappears. But if you hit the table on your shin, or the presenter there hits you on the head with it, yes, you will feel it because it is solid, but it's not as solid. It's really a hologram, and well, don't people do this when their head hurts, when they're going mad? And what is David doing that for? Is it perhaps because he's driving himself around the bend? Let's carry on.
You have to expand our perception of the possible. You see, if you want to keep people in the box, keep people in the bubble, one of the fundamental ways of doing that is to suppress their perception of the possible. Because when you're doing things out here, people in the perception bubble will say, that's not possible, that's not possible, it can't be done, and they dismiss it when you can go on and do it without being challenged.
Who's keeping...
So if he's not thinking within the bubble of... I'm a bubble, by the way, bubble and squeak, I'm a Greek. So if you're talking outside of the bubble, whatever bubble it is he's talking about, then the limitations are limitless, because there are no limitations. So basically, what he's saying is, if you step out of reality, when you step out of reality, doesn't that mean you've gone nuts? When you step out of reality, the possibilities are endless. I suppose... Okay, let's just carry on.
Yes, in the box, and why would they want to do that?
Well, I mean, you know, this is why Wembley was 10 hours and my books are that long. There's so many dots to connect, but there is a force which is feeding off human energy. And it...
Wait, there's a force that's feeding off human energy. What force would this be if everything is a holographic projection?
It operates. This is why understanding the nature of reality is so important, to understand this force. Because this force takes a form that basically energetic in its base form, though it can project form, and it operates on the fringes of our perception band. So when people say, "Well, you're talking about these people, I've never seen them," well, you wouldn't, because they're operating outside.
So let's get this right. We're all a hologram. Everything's a hologram. but there's people operating outside of the hologram that we can't see. Even though if we were a hologram, we would not have the ability to think, because a hologram is just basically light rays.
To sum that up, if it's possible, then it is like the Matrix, that we are being controlled. This is something that's being controlled for us. It's being made for us, and it is what, millennia old?
Oh, yeah, probably, and the rest. But
yeah.
I mean, that's an interesting point. If you take the Matrix movies, you take away the poetic license, you take away all the violence, and you take away all the the stuff they put in movies, and you take the basic concept of people living in a reality thinking it's real when it isn't.
Hold on, people. The context of people living in a reality when it isn't. Right. So hang on, we're all holograms, but now there are people living. That's all, folks.
Well,
yeah.
Prime reality has been hacked into, just like the Matrix. A lot of stuff comes out of Hollywood, which is actually telling you the truth.
Hollywood is telling you the truth. Remember that. David Icke, who told you that the moon is a giant spaceship and is now telling you that it's not real because it's a hologram and so is everything else, is telling you that what's coming out of Hollywood, which would be a hologram, is the truth. Yes.
You say that I was wrong, therefore, to be quite enjoying my fake reality. I mean, am I suppressed in such a way that I don't even realise it? Because I quite like it.
Well,
yeah.
If you want to like living in this reality, then good for you.
So what about we're controlled by? It has to have control. There have to be people who control it, I assume, if they're creating this reality for us. And you said quite controversially that that the royal family and members of the media and members of the banking profession are all part of this controlling.
The ones that control the system, not everybody in those professions.
Right. So
Not everyone in those professions. Oh no, be careful, because he's in that profession, isn't he? Yeah. Okay, let's keep going.
We are being controlled by a group of super beings.
Well, actually not super beings. If we are super beings, we are infinite awareness. That's what we are. We are awareness. And what this body...
I thought we were a hologram. Now we're infinite awareness. Okay, go on.
does, I call it the biological computer, is it focuses the attention of
Biological computer? How can a hologram have a biological computer?
that awareness in this tiny band of frequency called visible light. So we think this is all there is. When people leave the body, and suddenly this isn't a constantly
When people leave the body, but I thought that we were a hologram.
common theme, that their awareness suddenly expands, suddenly past, present and future all exist in the same now, because there is no time. That's another illusion. And the reason that they suddenly have this expansion of awareness is that their point of attention has left the focus, the lens, the body, and can suddenly be set free.
I'm so sorry to keep jumping in, David.
That's right.
It's only because our time and dimensional restrictions are less infinite. If this has been going on for millennia, how long is it going to be before you wake up the planet to the fact that this is all a creation? And then what happens? Because you'll freak out the entire planet.
Well,
if you strip down the wallpaper of the Matrix and suddenly we end up with this reality that is the true reality, we'll be frightened to death.
Is it better? Well, I've read about near-death experiences. I've never read one that wanted to come back. This is in a sense, this place is hell.
If the royal family are alien beings, or some of them, or some bankers, or some in the media, then you're talking about a global war to push them out? How do we get rid of them?
Well, the thing is, their power is in us not knowing they exist. And
So hang on. Here we go with the aliens bit again. I thought a minute ago that everything was a hologram and so was the moon, and so therefore the aliens can't exist because it's a hologram. But now there's the aliens are back in this conversation yet again. Okay, let's just carry on again.
their power is also this: getting the population to give us their power. We give. Oh, I don't. My goodness me, the very thought. But how many people give their power to the royal family? How many people give their power to governments? How many people...
Hang on a minute. Didn't we just see Russell Brand shaking hands with the Queen? Didn't we just see David Icke sitting in a chair with him and Russell Brand with their arms around each other. Oh.
Give their power to bankers all the time.
So your reality is anarchy.
No, it's not anarchy. It's the opposite. Do you think bombing innocent civilians from the sky to protect them from violence is not anarchy? Do you think lending money that doesn't exist, called credit, and if we don't pay them back plus interest, they can take our real wealth, our homes and our land?
Hang on. If we don't pay them back, they can take our virtual money. Money's not real. And if we don't pay back the money, they can take back our real stuff like our houses. Okay, there's another contradiction. What the bloody hell is this guy talking about? And what the bloody hell are people doing, listening to this load of old tripe and defending this guy with vile comments against anyone who says anything about him? Let's just carry on for a bit longer if I can bear it.
And our businesses and stuff. Do you think that's not anarchy? People dying of hunger in a world of plenty is not anarchy. We have
I thought everyone was a hologram. Okay.
anarchy now. So when we expand our consciousness, we have anything but anarchy. We have intelligence, which is what we lack now.
Intelligence. Yeah. Okay. When we expand our consciousness, we will have intelligence, he says, which is what we lack now. He's speaking for himself because he's not talking for me, because obviously I think it's clear which one between me and David Icke and everyone else lacks the intelligence. He can't even stop contradicting himself. What? Oh, I've never heard a contradiction contradict itself, but I have now.
Because I have to ask you then, if your method is to spread the word, enlighten everyone, why did people have to spend £62 to go in and see your show?
Yes, why do people have to spend £62? I want to see. This is probably why David Icke is avoiding having a debate with me, because we haven't got the correct figure on a pay-per-view debate between myself and him. It's got to be £62. So everyone, please bear that in mind.
Your talk at Wembley Arena, why didn't you let them all in for free and do it night after night after night? Right. Why do they have to pay? Money, you say money is evil.
How much? I don't say money is evil. I don't say money.
So money's not evil, but the Bible says that money is the root of many evils.
Is evil. I said the money, the way it's used, is evil. And
no, he said money did not did not exist. Now he's talking about. Oh well, never mind.
And the way it's created is evil. I didn't call it evil,
but why isn't this free?
Do you know how much it costs to publish a book? Do you know how much it costs to hire Wembley Arena for one day?
So you don't get any profit. It's only hiring the place out.
I have not taken a single penny from the Wembley event. It's going to go forward for the next one in October 20.
So he hasn't taken any money from the Wembley events, but he's took the money and it's going to put it forward for the next Wembley event. So what's he saying? Is he saying that he's covered the next Wembley event with the money that's coming? I sure would like to see some accounts on this.
14. I live, Philip, in a one-bedroom flat in Ryde, Isle of Wight.
Well, you know, I live in a council house, so shut your face.
A little office where I'd write all my books. I'll swap my income for yours any day.
Well, you can swap it for mine anytime he likes. And remember, it doesn't exist. But actually, see, my income really doesn't exist. But yeah, never mind. Let's just carry on.
It doesn't exist. It's not reality.
Right.
That's fascinating. This is what we're talking about. Here you go. Human race, get off your knees. The lion sleeps no more. David Icke, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much for completely ponying yourself on national TV, where they've allowed you to have another platform and carry on with amongst all the mainstream media. Okay, that's all I've got to say. David Icke is I don't think it's worth doing another David Icke video, because it's quite plain that he doesn't even know what he's talking about. Even when he doesn't know what he's talking about, he doesn't know what he's talking about what it is he isn't even talking about. I need to go and lie. I'm going to dip my head in a cold bucket of water now. Goodbye.